Hello, welcome to our last 11th video lesson. Today we are going to talk about English language teaching. First, we are going to look at the CEFR and what can we use it for. Then we will talk about teaching languages at primary level. And lastly, I'll tell you a bit about learning styles. CEFR, or Common European Framework of Reference, is a document created by Council of Europe in 2001. So it is an official European Union document. However, since its creation, it has been adopted and used all over the world. CEFR was created in reaction to the ever-increasing need for learning foreign languages in EU. After all, EU is formed by 28 states with 24 native languages, and many of them are multicultural even inside, so the need for common means of communication is clear. Foreign languages have become part of compulsory curriculum for schools and also became a requirement for the majority of skilled worker job positions. With that came the need for a tool for measuring the level of English that an individual has, and also for comparing the various language certifications that exist all around the world. On this chart, you can see the CEFR compared against the most popular English language exams, like IELTS or TOEFL and so on. CEFR, especially the chart that you have, is a tool that helps with that. For example, thanks to CEFR, we now know that most learners of foreign languages reach the level of B1 or B2, and so, while not advanced, they should be able to communicate without greater problem. The CEFR chart describes the skills that the learner should have at each level of proficiency. As you might notice, it does not say anything about specific grammar or vocabulary, but instead focuses on the combination of four skills: writing, listening, reading and speaking, and also intercultural competence. It describes each level in the can-do statements. Still, it is possible to approximately say how many words you should know at each level. Next, we will talk about learning styles. Learning style is the student's inner preference for a certain type of input. In theory, if the teacher's teaching style corresponds with the learner's learning styles, they should be able to learn more easily. There are three basic types of learning styles: the auditory learning style, the visual learning style, and kinesthetic learning style. While they work in combination, one of them is usually more dominant. Learners with auditory learning style focus on auditory input, in other words, sounds. Therefore, they sit where they can hear best. They talk to others and themselves. When studying, they often hum or even put on music. Also, they read their notes out loud and retell the lessons. They are usually very good at oral exams. The learners with visual learning style focus on input that they can see. They take lots of notes and often sit in the front from where they can see best. They also use lots of colors to make parts of their notes stand out. Passive surroundings help them concentrate. Visual learners have good visual memory. They close eyes to remember things and often imagine their notes to remember what is in them, for example, on an exam. And finally, the kinesthetic or moving type. Kinesthetic learners need to be active. When they work, they take many breaks, and when they talk, they gesticulate a lot. When learning, they act out the notes, like in theater or in front of a class of students. They love field trips. When they are bored, they tend to move. They also move when they study, for example, walk. They do not like classes without hands-on experience because they remember what was done and forget what was written or said. When teaching a class of students, it's practically impossible to adjust the lessons to each and everyone's particular learning style. Because of that, on the lesson, you should always use all three kinds of input. Lastly, we'll look at the basic principles of teaching languages at primary school. Pupils at primary schools are usually very motivated. They are excited when starting to learn something new. English? Wow! Cool! So the good news is, you don't have to work to motivate them at the beginning, like you would with older students. If you can keep that motivation high, half your job is done. The key is to realize that young children learn in a very different way than older students or adults. Young children do not know how to study. At home, they need help from parents to direct and assist them with homework and preparation for school. When you teach foreign language, this may be a problem because the chances are the parents don't know the language. So you have to do most of the work at school. With young children, the most important thing is that they have a lot of contact with the language you want them to learn. That is because while they are not very good at studying, they are very good at acquiring or absorbing. If given enough contact with the foreign language, children will learn it just like they learned their first language. When teaching young children, you always need to consider their limits. They do not yet have the capacity to understand complex and abstract concepts, so you need to stay away from topics they will not understand and only teach grammar that makes sense to them. Typical primary school topics are, for example, family, home, school, or holidays. For grammar, even present simple might be enough if you can teach them to communicate in it, express themselves in sentences, ask questions and respond, read simple text, etc. In language teaching, communication is your most important goal. Also, make sure you respect the limits of their skills. For example, your students might not yet know how to write or read, so you need to adjust your lessons accordingly. Usually, pupils first need to listen to the language before they can produce it. Some teachers and scientists actually suggest that for the first months, young pupils should not even be asked to talk, just listen to the foreign language to get their ears and brains used to it. Your pupils will make mistakes and will make the same mistakes again and again. That's normal. Correct them, but be very sensitive about it. You don't want to discourage them and destroy their motivation. If they like the lessons and their teacher, they will learn more. And that's it. Our last video lesson is finished. I hope you enjoyed it and see you in class.